Missouri district brings back corporal punishment. Now, this is what I call extremely normal behavior. Letting parents opt into corporal punishment dulls opposition, but has all the same consequences for kids. So yeah, it's an opt-in program. Basically, if your parents are fucking insane, they can go into a class and talk to the teacher and be like, yeah, if my kid misbehaves, I want you to paddle them instead of, any kind of normal thing, any normal behavior. Please hit my child. This is all very normal. It's great. This year, according to a student handbook, all those offenses may lead to corporal punishment. One or more swats with a wooden paddle on the buttocks. Kayla, mop and eat your heart out. Like the vast majority of children nationwide, and the nearly 2,000 students at Cassville in southwestern Missouri have never had to face the threat of physical force by their school leaders before, the district stopped using the paddle as a form of punishment 2 decades ago, but the school board voted in June to bring it back. Right? The decision has grabbed national attention and reignited debate over whether schools should be allowed to have corporal punishment at all. No. In the face of criticism, district officials have pointed the finger at parents, saying they requested this change. The strategy of putting the onus on parents is a common one and perpetuates the practice in thousands of public schools despite evidence that's harmful for children. You can't just abuse kids because abusive parents say it's okay to do it. They're part of the problem too. Corporal punishment in schools is still allowed by 19 state governments. Thanks to a 1977 Supreme Court ruling that affirmed educators' right to levy the punishment. Yet in most districts across those 19 states, superintendents choose to ban it themselves. But a Heckinger Report investigation found that where corporal punishment continues, school leaders routinely point to parents for justification, saying they paddle only kids whose parents approve. In some districts, parents have to jump through notification hoops to opt their children out of corporal punishment. In others include... Dude, if I for some reason moved to some shitty fucking flyover state, and then I had a kid, and I heard they got corporal punishment in class, and because I didn't opt out of it, it would be on site with me and whoever did that. That school would be a fucking doom level. Jesus Christ. It's so fucking barbaric. In others, parents have to affirmatively opt in. State legislators don't tend to require either one or... Deferring to parents offers schools a shield from liability if a child gets bruised or swollen and prevents parents who oppose the practice from campaigning to ban it. The feel bad. That's what it says. Much as I hate to stake my worth next to some of my cringy Twitter brethren, the anarchists, but have you ever heard anarchists talk about something called child liberation? To dispel any uncharitable interpretations of that term, you have to understand that to a lot of people in America and around the world, children are basically like property of their parents. Like that's what they're considered to be. Like the attitude towards children, like in a legal and ethical sense, is that they have to grin and bear it until they're adults, but until then, like whatever. Like your parent has crazy rules that are restrictive or abusive or overbearing, or they invade your privacy. They're your parents. They're your parents. You know what? That's it. You're a kid, they're your parents, whatever, We have this, like, infinite deference that only, like, the only time that we say, like, okay, that's enough is when the parent does something bad enough to attract the law, like criminal neglect. And even then, we all know CPS is terrible. There are tons of neglectful parents who never have their kids repoed. And even if those kids do get repoed, the orphanage system in this country is nightmarish, so that's not even necessarily better. CPS said I deserved it. CPS is fucking garbage. Like everything that I've heard about CPS, like every time, for those not in America, Child Protective Services. Their job is to, if they hear reports of a kid being abused, they show up, and if you're doing a bad, they can take your kids away. Yeah. And our attitude towards kids, it's basically like parents can do whatever the fuck they want. Any kind of creepy shit, abusive, basically it's essentially anything outside of like severe injury through physical abuse, severe neglect leading to malnutrition or sanitary issues, or sexual abuse. And anything that doesn't meet those criteria, you can be pretty sure that parents can not only get away with doing it to their kids, but they can like talk about it in some circles, and people will be like, oh yeah, of course, well, they're kids, what are you gonna do? And doing stuff like this is just a way of institutionalizing that attitude towards child ownership. It's just a way of like, rolling it in, like, okay, yeah, it's not just the parents being psychotic. Actually, the whole world is united in their belief that children are chattel, and you know, whatever happens to them, whatever, they don't have any real rights. You know, it's really fucked up. It's super, super, super fucked up. Really fucked up attitude. My dad broke mine and my brother's noses. No one did anything. Yeah, it's super fucked up. All of this, incredibly fucked up. Nobody should be doing any of this. Nobody should be doing any spanking. None of this. You know, people are like, oh, they spanked me and I turned out fine. No, 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 you didn't. Because you're online having an argument over whether or not spanking is good or bad, and your only evidence is how you turned out when you were spanked. No, you fucking didn't. You're brain damaged. You're doing Stockholm Syndrome bullshit right now. Fuck you. Like, no. They have such a horrible attitude towards it. And by the way, this attitude towards children is what leads to the majority of pedophilia. That is true. I'll stake anything on that. This attitude to, like, you know, kids must be subservient to parents, subservient to their elders, you know, like they must grin and bear it because, you know, when they're 18, they'll be adults, they can do what they want. This is what leads to the vast majority of pedophilia. Because whether you're talking about them being preyed on by their parents, or by their adjacent family, or by like priests, or by school teachers, all of it comes down to this, like, this attitude that there's some innate authority that an adult has over a kid with regards to, like, the legitimacy of abusive behavior being delivered to them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm fine with parents and adults broadly having authority over children in, like, the whole, you know, you can't eat an entire cake for breakfast, 6-year-old child type deal. You know, like, don't get me wrong, children are fucking idiots. It's not like they can run their own lives or whatever. But we have the way wrong attitude on this. Like, way, 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 way. You know, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm pro bedtime. I am an oppressor, all right? I believe in bedtimes. But the attitude we have towards this just facilitates some really fucked up stuff. My humble opinion, if you're born to parents, you don't owe them anything. You didn't ask to be born. Nobody can ask to be born. When parents bring you into the world, that's a responsibility they take for your well-being, and they have to follow that through, and that's the default neutral assumption right there. You know, that's the flat line. Now, don't get me wrong. If your parents have done well for you, you know, like, I think you should get along with them, right? Like, that's a lot of work taking care of kids. But it's not like it's not a transactional thing. Kids don't owe their parents because the parents fed them and clothed them and blah, blah, because you had to do that. It's against the law to not do that. You know, yeah. Yeah, I'm not here for the bedtime revolutionaries or nothing. Our infrastructure also forces children to be even more in the control of parents because they have to be driven everywhere. Oh, yeah, there was a study on that was talked about in one of the Echo Gecko videos, where in more walkable neighborhoods, children could be expected to walk to their schools, and they knew their neighborhoods a bit better, and there was a bit more autonomy. But now, like, you know how, like, you remember that story of a woman getting cops called on her because her kids were playing in her lawn? Like, her lawn, her house? And the cops got called because there were kids playing there. Yeah, there's with this weird isolationist attitude, you know, towards children. Like, they should be kept in the house. They're they're of the house. They're property of the parents, basically. Not good. Not good. Not good. Get you some coffee. Oh shit, Canoe, you're up. Canoe, if I asked you to make coffee, would you take it? Would that be okay? Because Vermin's not here. Normally I'd annoy Vermin. I'm just real sleepy. Canoe might not even be here anymore. That's fine. Creative roommates like slaves. I pay the rent. How many grams of meth again? I already took my meth today. Yeah, listen, okay. Parents may not be entitled to anything from their kids, but I am entitled to coffee because I pay the rent, all right? That's how it works.